Have mercy on me, Lord, for I am faint. Heal me, Lord, for my bones are in agony. This heartfelt plea captures a moment of deep emotional distress, a cry for help that resonates with anyone who has faced overwhelming challenges. In times of depression and anxiety, we often feel as if our bones are in agony, weighed down by the burdens of life. Yet in this poem, we find hope. We find an invitation to rest in God and trust in His unfailing protection. Your spiritual emotional healing begins when you acknowledge your pain and bring it before God. See that the psalmist doesn't hide his suffering. Instead, he lays it bare before God, seeking His mercy and healing. This is an act of vulnerability. It's the first step toward finding solace. When you open your heart to God, you allow Him to enter your deepest wounds and begin the process of restoration. One of the most profound aspects of spiritual emotional healing is the realization that God understands our suffering. Jesus, the Son of God, experienced the full range of human emotions. In the Garden of Gethsemane, He faced immense anguish, His soul overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Yet He surrendered to the Father's will, trusting in His divine plan. This example shows us that it's okay to feel pain and to seek God's help in our distress. Your cry for mercy and healing is not ignored by a detached deity, but is profoundly understood by a God who has experienced the deepest agony. When you bring your pain before God, you are met with divine empathy. God's solidarity with you in suffering assures you that you are not alone. His presence is with you even in your darkest moments. Although it may be difficult at the beginning, you have to learn to see beyond your present pain to a future filled with hope. God's promises extend beyond this life into the new creation where all tears will be wiped away. This hope should anchor you when you feel overwhelmed by depression and anxiety. By trusting in God's ultimate plan for redemption, you find the strength to endure your present struggles, knowing that they are temporary and that God's healing is both a reality, now and forever. C.S. Lewis, in his reflections on pain and suffering, provides another dimension of understanding. In The Problem of Pain, Lewis explores the idea that suffering can be a tool for spiritual growth. He suggests that God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. Pain, then, is God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. Yes, this perspective does not diminish the reality of your suffering, but it offers a way to see your trials as opportunities for deeper communion with God. When we are faint and our bones are in agony, we are compelled to seek God with an earnestness that might not emerge in times of comfort. Lewis also highlights the necessity of trust in God's goodness, even when His ways are beyond our understanding. In A Grief Observed, he writes candidly about his own struggles with faith in the face of profound loss. Yet, through his journey, he arrives at a renewed trust in God's love and wisdom. This mirrors the psalmist's experience. Even in the depth of despair, there is a clinging to the hope that God is merciful and will heal. Trusting in God's protection involves surrendering our limited perspective and resting in the assurance that His ways, though mysterious, are ultimately for our good. In your darkest moments, it's easy to feel isolated and abandoned. However, you are never truly alone. God is always present, ready to comfort and protect you. His love is a fortress, a safe haven where you can find refuge from the storms of life. When anxiety threatens to overwhelm you, you can take solace in the knowledge that God is your ever-present help. Trusting in God's protection requires you to relinquish your fears and doubts. It's an act of faith, believing that He is greater than any challenge you face. This trust is not always easy to muster, especially when you are in the throes of depression. Yet it's precisely in these moments of weakness that God's strength is made perfect. When you are at your lowest, God's power is at its highest, ready to lift you up. To rest in God is to surrender your struggles to Him, trusting that He will carry you through. This doesn't mean that your problems will magically disappear, but it does mean that you will have the strength to endure them. To be honest, God doesn't promise a life free from pain, but He does promise His presence and support. He is your shepherd, guiding you through the valley of the shadow of death and leading you to green pastures. When you turn to God in your times of trouble, you tap into a source of peace that transcends understanding. This peace is not dependent on your circumstances, but on God's unchanging nature. By bringing your anxieties to God, you open yourself to His calming presence. That is because spiritual emotional healing is a journey with moments of progress and setbacks. But through it all, God remains faithful. He is committed to your well-being, working all things together for your good. As you persevere, you develop resilience and a deeper sense of trust in God's providence. The heartfelt plea of Psalm 6 is one of hope and assurance. It calls us to trust in God's mercy and to seek His healing with confidence. As we navigate the complexities of life, we can rest in the knowledge that God is with us, guiding us through every trial. His love is a constant source of comfort, His presence a steady anchor in the storm. Spiritual emotional healing is a multifaceted process that involves bringing your pain to God and trusting in His protection. By resting in God's promises and engaging in spiritual and practical disciplines, you can find the strength to overcome depression and anxiety. Hold fast to the truth that God is your refuge and strength, an ever-present help in times of trouble. Continually seek His mercy and healing, confident that He will carry you through the darkest valleys and lead you to a place of peace and restoration. When you set yourself to find spiritual emotional healing, you enter into a profound and transformative journey. Psalm 25 reads, "Relieve the troubles of my heart and free me from my anguish." These words, penned by the psalmist, resonate with a raw, unfiltered cry for mercy and grace, and they serve as a powerful reminder that in our times of struggle, we can approach the throne of God with unwavering boldness. Spiritual emotional healing is a journey that traverses the landscapes of our innermost fears and deepest sorrows, yet ascends toward the lofty heights of hope and healing. In his words, the psalmist bares his soul, revealing a heart burdened by the weight of countless troubles. His plea is a raw and honest cry for help, an unreserved admission of his dire need for God's intervention. It is a reminder to us all that in our most challenging moments, we do not have to carry our burdens alone. We have a divine refuge, a sanctuary where our cries are heard, our pain acknowledged, and our healing begun. The first step is to acknowledge the reality of our emotional struggles. Life often brings us face to face with trials that seem insurmountable. Whether it is the loss of a loved one, the sting of betrayal, the burden of unfulfilled dreams, or the silent battles waged within our minds, each of us knows the taste of sorrow and the weight of distress. In these moments, it is easy to feel isolated, as if we are navigating the stormy seas of our emotions without a compass or anchor. Yet the psalmist's words remind us that we are not alone. When our hearts are overwhelmed, we can approach the throne of God with boldness and confidence. We can lay bare our struggles and seek His divine aid, knowing that He is both willing and able to lift us out of our despair. This is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it is a testament to our faith. By turning to God in our darkest hours, we acknowledge His sovereignty and His boundless love for us. Why don't people usually turn to God? Because of a problem that all of us have. In our society, we are often taught to mask our pain, to present a facade of strength even when we are crumbling inside. However, look how the psalmist shows us a different way. He does not hide his anguish. Instead, he voices it openly, trusting that God will respond. This act of vulnerability is itself a powerful step toward healing. By expressing our pain, we release the emotional burden that weighs us down, making space for God's comfort and peace to fill our hearts. You need to know that trusting in God has a profound influence on our emotional healing process. It shifts our focus from our problems to the one who holds the solutions. When we trust in God, we are no longer defined by our circumstances. Our identity is rooted in His unchanging love and faithfulness. This trust cultivates a sense of peace and security, even amidst the chaos of life. We begin to see our struggles not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for God to demonstrate His power and grace. Moreover, this trust empowers us to persevere. There will be days when the weight of our troubles feels unbearable, when the light at the end of the tunnel seems distant and dim. But in these moments, our trust in God becomes our strength. We can press on, knowing that He is with us every step of the way, guiding us, sustaining us, and bringing us closer to wholeness. Let me share a story that encapsulates this journey of trust and healing. There was a man who had faced immense hardships. He had lost his job, his home, and his family in a series of tragic events. Every night he would sit alone, his heart heavy with sorrow and his mind clouded by despair. One night, in the depths of his anguish, he remembered the words of this psalm. With tears streaming down his face, he cried out to God, "Relieve the troubles of my heart and free me from my anguish." In that moment of vulnerability, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. It was not an immediate resolution of his problems, but rather a profound assurance that he was not alone. Over the next few months, as he continued to seek God's aid and trust in his plan, doors began to open. He found a new job, reconnected with his family, and gradually rebuilt his life. Through it all, he realized that his trust in God had been the catalyst for his healing. It had given him the strength to persevere and the courage to hope. Please understand this. The path to emotional healing is not always easy, but it is always possible with God. When the troubles of your heart are enlarged, do not hesitate to cry out to Him. Approach His throne with boldness, knowing that your cries are heard and your pain is seen. Trust in His love and His power to bring you out of your distress. You are not defined by your struggles, but by your faith in the one who can overcome them. Your tears are precious to God, and your cries for relief are met with His compassion and grace. Allow this trust to be your anchor, your guiding light through the darkest valleys. For in His presence there is healing, in His embrace there is peace, and in His love there is the promise of a brighter tomorrow. You will find solace in these truths and courage in your journey. Your trust in God will lead you to the healing and peace your heart longs for. You will always remember that in your most vulnerable moments, you are held by the one who loves you beyond measure. As you move yourself on the profound journey of emotional healing, you have to learn how to draw strength and wisdom from people and experiences in your life. So if I can give you a piece of advice, you should know what is written in Psalm 27, verse 14. Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord. These simple yet powerful words encapsulate the essence of patience, strength, and unwavering faith in God during our most challenging times. Emotional healing is a path fraught with pain, uncertainty, and often an unbearable sense of waiting. Whether it's the sickness that ravages our bodies or the heartbreak that shatters our souls, the journey to wholeness can seem interminable. Yet in these moments of vulnerability, this psalm reminds us there is always hope. It reminds us that our waiting is not in vain. One of the most arduous aspects of any healing process is the waiting time. When we are in pain, each second feels like an eternity. We yearn for immediate relief, a swift resolution to our suffering. But, as the psalmist reminds us, waiting is an integral part of our healing journey. It is during this waiting period that our faith is tested and strengthened. We learn to lean not on our understanding, but on God's unshakable promises. To wait for the Lord means to trust in His timing and His wisdom, even knowing that God's chronology is different than our chronology. He sees the bigger picture, even when our vision is clouded by tears and sorrow. But it's not a passive waiting. It's an active and courageous stance. It requires us to be strong and take heart. Not only physical strength, but the inner resilience that comes from knowing we are held by a dependable God. In the throes of emotional turmoil, it is easy to succumb to despair. But it is precisely in these moments of weakness that God's strength is made perfect in us. Our trust in Him becomes the anchor that keeps us steady amidst the storm. We may not understand why we have to endure such pain or why the healing process is so slow, but our trust in God's plan allows us to find peace in the midst of our trials. Now, there is another thing you should know. The waiting period is also a time of growth. Just as a seed must lie in the darkness of the soil before it can sprout and flourish, you too must endure periods of darkness before you can emerge stronger and more resilient. During this time, God is working in you, refining your character and drawing you closer to Him. Every tear you shed, every moment of despair, is seen and valued by God. He is with you in your suffering, providing you with the strength to persevere. It's important to understand that trusting in God does not mean you will never face difficulties. On the contrary, Jesus Himself said, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." Our faith does not shield us from pain, but it gives us the courage to face it with hope and confidence. God calls you to be strong and take heart. This strength is not something you muster on your own. It is a gift from God. When you feel weak and overwhelmed, you can ask God to fill you with His strength. He promises to uphold you with His righteous right hand. This divine strength enables you to endure the waiting period with grace and hope. Your trust in God transforms your perspective. Instead of seeing the waiting time as a period of stagnation, you begin to see it as a season of preparation. God is preparing you for something greater, something you cannot yet comprehend. Your pain is not wasted. It is being used to mold you into the people God created you to be. Again, your waiting is not in vain. God is renewing your strength, enabling you to soar above your circumstances. As you wait for the Lord, learn to cultivate a spirit of gratitude. Even in your pain, there are blessings to be found. The support of loved ones, the beauty of creation, the small victories in your healing journey, these are all gifts from God. By focusing on these blessings, you can find joy and hope in the midst of your trials. Remember, spiritual emotional healing is a journey that requires patience, strength, and unwavering faith. You can wait for the Lord with confidence, knowing that He is with you every step of the way. Your trust in Him transforms your waiting time into a period of growth and preparation. Be strong, take heart. God is dependable and His timing is perfect. As you place your trust in Him, you will find the strength to endure, the courage to hope, and the peace that surpasses all understanding. I invite you to embark on a journey with me through the powerful words of Psalm 30. O Lord my God, I called to you for help, and you healed me. Isn't that precisely what you are looking for? These words, simple yet profound, hold within them the promise of hope, the assurance of divine presence, and the pathway to emotional healing. Particularly when you face times of struggle and uncertainty, you need to understand that God does not abandon you. When you call to Him, He obliges, and though the healing may not always come in the way you picture it, He is always working behind the scenes for your ultimate good. Life often throws us into the depths of despair. We face heartaches, disappointments, and emotional wounds that seem too deep to heal. Yet in these moments of darkness, the words of this psalm shine as a beacon of hope, reminding us that our cries for help do not go unheard. When we reach out to God, He listens. He sees our pain, understands our struggles, and He moves to heal us. The healing process, however, may not always align with our expectations. We may have a vision of how we want to be healed, but God, in His infinite wisdom, knows the best way to mend our broken hearts. As you may already know from our videos, spiritual emotional healing is a complex journey. It is not merely the absence of pain, it's also the presence of peace, joy, and wholeness. It is about transforming our scars into stories of resilience and faith. And this transformation begins with trust in a God who loves us unconditionally, who is intimately involved in the details of our lives, and who is committed to our well-being. When you trust God with your brokenness, you allow Him to work in ways you cannot see. Often, you want immediate relief, a quick fix to your problems. But God's healing is thorough. It penetrates the deepest layers of your being. Sometimes He heals you by giving you strength to endure, by teaching you valuable lessons, or by opening new paths you never considered. Trusting in God's process means surrendering your control and embracing His perfect plan for our healing. It is in the moments of deepest pain that God's presence is most profound. He walks with you through the valleys, holding you when you feel you cannot stand, whispering words of comfort when you feel alone. Imagine the loving arms of a father, always ready to catch his child when they fall. That is the heart of your God. He never leaves you, never forsakes you. His love is a constant, unwavering force that sustains you through every trial. Think of the times when you have called out to God in your distress. Reflect on the moments when you felt a sudden peace, an inexplicable comfort that enveloped you. That was God answering your call. His responses may not always be dramatic or immediate, but they are always present. He works quietly, often behind the scenes, orchestrating events, bringing people into our lives, and guiding us toward healing. One of the most profound ways God heals us is through community. He places people in our lives who become vessels of His love and grace. Friends, family, mentors. They are tangible expressions of God's care. When we open our hearts to these relationships, we experience God's healing touch. Their support, encouragement, and prayers become the hands of God lifting us up. Moreover, God heals us through His Word. The Bible is a treasure trove of promises, stories, and teachings that offer comfort and guidance. Psalm 30 is just one of many verses that remind us of God's healing power. When we immerse ourselves in Scripture, we are reminded of God's faithfulness, His promises, and His unending love. The Word of God becomes a balm for our wounded souls, a source of strength and hope. In the process of emotional healing, it is crucial to recognize that setbacks are part of the journey. There will be days when the pain resurfaces, when the wounds feel fresh again. In these moments, remember that healing is not linear. It is a journey with ups and downs, but every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Trust that God is with you every step of the way, even in the setbacks. He is the great physician, and He knows exactly what you need for complete healing. Allow yourself to be vulnerable before God. Pour out your heart to Him. Express your fears, your doubts, your pain. God is big enough to handle your emotions. He invites you to come as you are with all your broken pieces. In His presence you are safe. In His presence you can find rest for your weary soul. You are not alone. God is with you, working tirelessly behind the scenes. He is weaving a tapestry of healing, even when you cannot see it. Trust in His timing, in His methods, and His unwavering love. When you call to God for help, He will heal you. Maybe not in the way you expect, but always in the way that is best for you. Let these words sink into your heart and let them be a source of strength and encouragement. Embrace the journey of healing with faith and trust in God. Know that He is for you, He is with you, and He will never abandon you. Your cries for help are heard, and your healing is assured. God is at work even now, bringing wholeness to your soul. Rest in His promise and walk in His love. Emotional healing always involves a conversation that touches the very core of our existence. Life, with all its unpredictable turns, often leaves us wounded, broken, and in deep sorrow. But in these moments of despair, we can find solace in the powerful words of Psalm 31, which remind us of God's unwavering love and His desire to heal our broken hearts. The psalmist writes, "I will be glad and rejoice in your love, for you saw my affliction and knew the anguish of my soul. You have not given me into the hands of the enemy, but have set my feet in a spacious place." These words are not just a testament to God's love, but a profound declaration of His intimate understanding of our pain and His promise to deliver us from it. God not only sees our afflictions, but He also acts to bring us out of our loneliness and mourning. Imagine the depth of this love, that the Creator of the universe sees you, understands your pain, and moves to heal you. In the midst of your deepest sorrow, when you feel abandoned and forgotten, God's love is your hope. He sees every tear, every heartache. He does not leave you in your desolation. Instead, He reaches out to you, offering comfort and healing. Jesus Christ, during His time on earth, exemplified this divine compassion. He healed countless individuals, not merely to display God's power, but to demonstrate His mercy, compassion, and love. Each act of healing was a testament to God's desire to bind up our wounds. From the woman with the issue of blood to the blind man who received his sight, each miracle was a manifestation of God's love, a tangible proof that He cares deeply for our well-being. In our journey towards emotional healing, it is crucial to understand that trusting in God is the key to unlocking this divine restoration. Trusting in God means believing that He sees our pain and is working to heal us, even when we cannot see it ourselves. It means letting go of our fears and doubts and allowing His love to permeate our hearts. Trusting God is not always easy, especially when we are in the throes of emotional turmoil. It requires faith, a faith that believes in God's promises, a faith that holds on to hope even in the darkest of times. But as we place our trust in Him, we begin to see the transformation within ourselves. We start to experience the peace that surpasses all understanding, the joy that comes from knowing we are loved unconditionally, and the strength to face each new day with renewed hope. God's desire to heal you is not just about removing your pain, but about transforming you through it. Emotional healing is a journey, a process that takes time. It is about allowing God to walk with you through your pain, to teach you and to shape you into a stronger, more compassionate person. As you trust Him, you begin to see your trials not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and deeper intimacy with Him. As you trust in Him, you begin to understand what it means to love the person you. You must remember that God does not waste your pain. Every tear you shed is precious to Him, and He uses your suffering to mold you into a vessel of His grace. Your scars become testimonies of His faithfulness. Your wounds become avenues for His healing touch. Through your brokenness, His light shines all the brighter. Rejoice in God's love, knowing that He sees your afflictions and understands the depths of your soul's anguish. Trust in His promise to set your feet in a spacious place, free from the bonds of sorrow and despair. Remember that through Jesus, God's love is made manifest, healing your heart and restoring your spirit. In God, you find the courage to face your pain. Allow His love to heal you. Embrace the journey of emotional healing with faith and hope. For in God's hands, your brokenness is transformed into beauty, your sorrow into joy, and your despair into a profound testimony of His mercy, compassion, and love. Many of us come to YouTube bound by the shared experiences of life's trials and tribulations. We all want to find solace and strength in times of hardship. Usually in seasons of challenges, some of the most powerful words of the Bible are found in the timeless words of Psalm 34. The person who trusts in God may have many troubles. Still, God is there every time. He's your bodyguard, shielding every bone. These words resonate deeply within our hearts, offering a profound reminder of God's unwavering presence and His boundless power to heal, preserve, and protect us. Life, as we all know too well, is often unpredictable. Sickness can strike without warning, and the challenges posed by diseases and illnesses can feel insurmountable. Yet in the midst of these storms, we are not alone. The Lord is with us, a constant source of comfort and strength, guiding us through our darkest hours and leading us toward the light of healing and hope. It is enough to be alive to face the inevitability of pain and suffering. Yet it is through these very experiences that we come to understand the depth of God's love and the power of His healing touch. The emotional wounds we carry, the physical ailments that plague us, and the mental burdens that weigh us down are all part of the human condition. But they do not define us. What defines us is our trust in God, our faith in His promises, and our unwavering belief that He will deliver us from all our troubles. When you trust in God, you embark on a journey of emotional healing that transcends your understanding. This trust is not a passive acceptance of your circumstances, but an active engagement with God's presence in your life. It is a declaration that despite the pain you endure, you believe in His power to transform your suffering into strength, your wounds into wisdom, your fears into faith. Emotional healing begins with acknowledging your pain and allowing yourself to feel the weight of your burdens. It is in this vulnerable state that you open your heart to God's healing grace. You must remember that it is okay to feel broken, for it is in your brokenness that God's love shines the brightest. His healing touch is not limited to your physical ailments. It reaches deep into your soul, mending the fractures of your heart and restoring your spirit. As you place your trust in God, you begin to experience a profound shift within you. The anxiety that once gripped your heart loosens its hold, replaced by a peace that surpasses all understanding. This peace is not a mere absence of turmoil, but a deep, abiding sense of God's presence, assuring you that you are never alone. It is in this peace that you find the strength to face each new day, to rise above your challenges, and to walk the path of healing with unwavering courage. Through our trust in God, we learn to see our struggles not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and transformation. Each trial we face is a stepping stone toward a deeper relationship with Him, a chance to lean into His strength and draw from His infinite wisdom. It is through these experiences that we come to know the true power of God's love and the extent of His mercy. What the psalmist is saying is this: Do not underestimate the power of spiritual emotional healing. When your heart is healed, your body responds in kind. The mind and body are intricately connected, and a heart at peace is a powerful catalyst for physical healing. Studies have shown that positive emotions can boost our immune system, lower blood pressure, and improve overall health. But beyond the scientific evidence, we know that God's healing touch extends beyond the physical realm, encompassing every aspect of our being. As we journey through the process of emotional healing, Psalm 34 reminds us of this. God protects us, He preserves us, and He ensures that we will be fine. Indeed, this is not a promise of a life free from pain, but a promise of His presence in the midst of our pain. It is a promise that He will sustain us. He will carry us through our darkest hours. He will deliver us from all our troubles. To trust in God is to embrace His promise of healing with open hearts and unwavering faith. It is to believe that, no matter how deep our wounds or how heavy our burdens are, His love is sufficient to heal us. It is to surrender our fears and anxieties to Him, knowing that He is our refuge and our strength, an ever-present help in times of trouble. In moments of despair, when the weight of your suffering feels unbearable, turn your heart to God in prayer. Pour your whole being to Him. Trust that He hears your cry and responds with compassion. In this way, you will learn to love the person you. Immerse yourself in His Word, drawing strength from His promises and finding comfort in His presence. Lean on people who love you, for you are not meant to walk this journey alone. Find a fellowship of believers who can support and encourage you as a tangible reminder of God's love. Place your trust in God. Embark on a journey of transformation. That way, you will begin to see your pain through the lens of God's love, understanding that every trial you face is an opportunity to grow closer to Him. You come to realize that your suffering is not in vain, but is being used by God to shape you into the person He has called you to be. Why is this important? Through this process, you discover a resilience you never knew you had. You find the courage to face your challenges head-on, knowing that you are equipped with the strength of the Almighty. You learn to navigate your struggles with grace and dignity, holding fast to the hope that God will deliver you from every trial. Therefore, hold tightly to the truth of Psalm 34. Remember that, though you may face many troubles, the Lord delivers you from them all. Take comfort in His promise to protect and preserve you, knowing that His love is a shield around you. Trust in His power to heal you, both emotionally and physically, as you walk this journey of faith. Lift your hearts in gratitude to the One who holds your life in His hands. Thank Him for His unfailing love, His boundless mercy, and His infinite power to heal. Commit yourself to trusting in His promises, believing that He is with you every step of the way. May you find the strength to trust in God, embrace His healing touch, and walk in the fullness of His grace. May your heart be filled with His peace, your mind with His wisdom, and your spirit with His courage. May you always remember that no matter what challenges you face, you are never alone. God is with you, delivering you from all your troubles and leading you into the light of His love.